Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're strapping in for a case study that it really forces us to redefine what a good business idea even is.
Right.
Forget all the disruptive tech or, complicated algorithms. Sometimes massive success is just hiding in the most mundane, frustrating parts of your day.
That's absolutely right. We're diving into the journey of Ben Torres, an e-commerce entrepreneur who managed to turn a universally recognized minor frustration,
Right, Reiner?
yeah, the vanishing single sock, into a multi-million-dollar monthly subscription service. It sounds completely absurd on its face.
It does.
But his story is just a masterclass in market validation.
So Ben shared this whole journey on the podcast, My Dumbest Success, and the title itself, well, it tells you everything you need to know.
hmm
He founded a monthly sock subscription service, and the real problem he solved was the sock graveyard. We all have it. That drawer full of single socks waiting for a partner who is never ever coming home.
And so the mission for you listening to this is not just to laugh at how simple the idea is, but to really extract the tangible strategic wisdom Ben used,
Yeah.
how he overcame this just devastating criticism and pivoted from being, laughed out of the room to building a highly scalable operation.
Because what's so fascinating here is that the simplicity of the problem is precisely what made it successful.
Right.
It didn't require any consumer education. Everyone immediately gets it. It's this relatable, low-stakes transaction that just solves a persistent, irritating problem.
And that appeal is everything. Ideas that seem dumb or maybe just overly simple, they often succeed because they tap into a high-frequency, low-cost pain point.
Uh-huh.
It's accessible, it's instantly viral, and his story followed that classic structure.
Right.
The initial joke, the relentless pursuit, massive doubt, a sudden breakthrough, and then just exponential growth.
So let's unpack that beginning.
Let's do it.
Before all this explosive success, Ben Torres was working that classic, boring office job. He was living paycheck to paycheck. And the inspiration, it struck during a moment of just universal dread, laundry day.
He tells this great story about how he was folding clothes and found yet another single sock. It was the final straw.
I've been there.
We all have. And he joked to his wife, I wish someone would just send me new matching socks every month so I never have to worry about this again.
And they both laughed. But here's where that critical mental shift happened. Unlike most people who would just let that thought vanish, Ben found himself, later that week, sketching out a business plan.
Just for fun at first.
Just for fun, a simple website structure. It felt silly, he said, but the idea just wouldn't leave him alone.
And that internal insistence, that's what separated him from everyone else. He was actually acting on the impulse. He was creating an MVP, a minimum viable product, before he even sought validation.
But when he did start to share the idea,
Oof, the external reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative.
absolutely. Universal laughter, dismissal. His own family, his parents, thought he was completely wasting his time with this hobby.
And his coworkers rolled their eyes. Ben even admitted his own internal doubt was just intense. He was thinking, was I really going to be the sock guy? Is this what I'm doing with my life?
That's a real fear.
But the real gut punch, I think, came when he presented the concept to a potential investor.
Oh, this is the worst part.
Yeah, that investor didn't just pass. They laughed. They called it the dumbest thing I've heard all week.
Wow. That is the kind of criticism that just sinks a ship before it even leaves the harbor. So why do you think that specific kind of investor, someone who should be looking for unconventional ideas, missed it so badly?
It's institutional bias. They were looking for high barrier to entry tech or maybe high margin luxury goods, complex B2B solutions.
Right.
They couldn't compute the value of a solution built on pure low friction convenience and relatability. They valued complexity over actual utility.
So they just fundamentally misunderstood the power of the subscription model when you apply it to these high turnover essential goods.
Totally.
And that failure to understand the consumer's real pain point, that led Ben right into part two, the inevitable failure phase.
Right.
So he took the basic steps, built his simple website, ordered his initial inventory in bulk, and launched.
And the initial results weren't just poor, they were an immediate validation of every single one of his critics. After the first month of launching and running ads, he got exactly 2 subscribers,
Two.
his wife and his best friend. His entire initial investment in inventory and marketing yielded 0 true organic conversion.
And this is where we need to dive into the operational setbacks. It wasn't just low numbers. He was actively losing money on every attempt to get a customer.
Yeah, he spent cash on ads that just didn't work. What do you think he was doing wrong there in that phase?
Well, he learned about customer acquisition cost, or
Hmm.
CAC, the hard way.
Hmm.
Ben initially tried these really generic Facebook and Instagram ads, and his messaging, as he admitted, focused way too heavily on the quality or the design of the socks.
Instead of the core value prop.
Exactly, the convenience, the solution to the sock graveyard. He was selling a product, not solving a problem.
Right. He was pushing his CAC sky high because he was trying to convince people they needed nice socks when what they really needed was replacement socks delivered without any effort.
And at the same time, he was handling every single thing manually,
Mm.
shipping the wrong sizes, dealing with lost packages.
Fielding negative feedback from the few customers who weren't related to him.
He said the desire to just quit and crawl back to his predictable corporate job was overwhelming. And the struggle was amplified because every failure just validated the laughter of the critics.
And this grind phase is where most simple ideas just die. I mean, people assume a simple product should have a simple marketing plan.
Yeah.
Ben was about to fold, but then pure serendipity provided the critical turning point.
A perfect example of how organic external validation can just save a business right before it collapses.
So what happened?
A popular lifestyle blogger stumbled across the site, not through a paid ad, but just organically. And they wrote a review.
And critically, the review was effective because it used humor. It didn't praise the business model. It celebrated the absurdity and the universal relatability of the lost sock
It
problem.
wasn't a dry review, it was a connection.
Exactly.
And the result was immediate and completely overwhelming. Hundreds of orders came in, basically overnight. Ben said he was simultaneously excited and just utterly terrified.
And that shift from disappointment to absolute logistical chaos, that is the true pivot point for the business. Before that blog post, his CAC was what, maybe $50 a customer on a $12 subscription.
Unsustainable.
Totally. After the blog post, his CAC was essentially zero, and he instantly had positive market validation.
But that validation came with a massive new problem: fulfillment. He had to scramble to fix a website that wasn't built for volume, manage a flood of customer emails, and most importantly, figure out how to physically ship hundreds of packages when he was used to shipping two.
And this is where the tactical analysis really begins. I mean, he'd proven the concept, but now he had to transition from a chaotic hobby run out of his garage to a scalable enterprise.
So let's talk about the critical scaling strategies he implemented right after this spike. First, automation. He had to get rid of that tedious manual process of printing labels and taking boxes to the post office.
Which means he had to quickly transition to a third-party logistics provider, a 3PL.
Right.
And that is a massive leap for a founder because it means you're giving up physical control of your inventory. You have to trust a partner to pick, pack, and ship accurately. For a subscription service, if that 3PL messes up, your customer lifetime value just plummets.
That shift allowed him to focus on the next crucial step, which was hiring help and learning to delegate. This wasn't just hiring an assistant, it was delegating core functions like customer service.
And that, Ben admitted, was harder than finding customers. He was emotionally tied to every pair of socks, every thank you note. Learning to trust someone else to ensure the right colors and sizes were going out,
Huge.
it required him to move from being the sock guy who did everything to being the CEO who managed processes.
He also expanded the product line, which was smart. He moved beyond basic socks to offering custom designs, specialty blends. This is a great move for increasing that lifetime value, but it adds so much logistical complexity.
Oh, it absolutely does. When you deal in one product, say, basic black socks inventory is simple.
Easy.
But when you introduce 20 different colors, patterns, and custom designs, your inventory management system suddenly has to track CUs exponentially. It just increases the risk of stockouts or shipping errors.
So he had to get sophisticated inventory software to manage it.
Had to.
And the outcome of successfully navigating this whole logistical gauntlet was just explosive. The business was featured in a national magazine, which led to thousands of subscribers. It became bigger than he had ever imagined.
And if we connect this back to the emotional journey, achieving that kind of scale demanded a level of toughness that I think exceeded what was needed to handle the initial mockery.
For sure.
Ben described the entire process as an emotional roller coaster. Some days he's riding the high of success, other days wanting to hide because of the inevitable mistakes.
What's really interesting is what he relied on during those low points.
Yeah.
It wasn't revenue charts. It was the human element, the thank you notes, the customer photos.
And that's a beautiful sentiment. And it was clearly vital for his mental health. But From a strategic perspective, isn't relying on emotional anchors, thank you notes, and his wife's support, isn't that a weakness?
Hmm.
I mean, to get serious scaling capital or handle a major supply chain hiccup, you need hard metrics, not just emotional validation.
Well, he acknowledged that. He said the emotional anchors kept him from quitting, period. But the metrics, the steadily decreasing CAC after the blogger review and the predictable monthly recurring revenue, that was what allowed him to actually raise funds and professionalize the business.
Oh,
His wife was his rock, yes, but those monthly recurring revenue numbers, that was the foundation.
that synthesizes the practical advice perfectly. So we can really distill Ben's journey into three, I think, highly tactical takeaways for anyone listening who has an unconventional idea.
Okay, number one, if you keep thinking about the idea, you have to ignore the laughter. But, and this is key, you have to analyze why the critics are laughing. If they're laughing because the pain point is too simple and ubiquitous, that's a market signal. That's not a reason to quit.
Good point. Okay, number two, be ready for that failure phase to teach you everything about your messaging. Don't just learn from failure. You need to analyze your pre-validation CAC versus your organic post-validation CAC. The failed, expensive ads were tuition that taught him the market only responds when the core message focuses on convenience, not quality.
And number three, when you hit that moment of sudden chaotic validation, you have to prioritize process control immediately. Learning to delegate isn't just about giving away tasks. It's about institutionalizing trust and migrating from manual fulfillment to professional logistics, like a 3PL, to ensure you have consistent, scalable customer lifetime value.
You know, Ben's story is just a clear testament to the fact that you don't need a complicated idea to build a powerful recurring revenue stream. You just need to solve a common problem efficiently.
So we've seen the full journey today, from a running joke about the sock graveyard to a national e-commerce enterprise. The central lesson, I think, remains. The silliest, most common problems, they deserve efficient solutions. And sometimes the world is just waiting for your dumb idea to solve a real, everyday inconvenience.
And that leads to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with today. Market validation doesn't always come through the traditional channels like these skeptical investors.
Right.
It often comes from humor and from relatable everyday pain points.
So if the initial reaction to your idea is laughter, don't dismiss it. You need to ask yourself, how might that laughter actually be the first sign of a powerful, overlooked connection to a universal need? The investor's laughter was expensive, the blogger's humor was free and invaluable.
So we want you to look around your home or your office right now. What minor inconvenience do you joke about daily? What small, repetitive frustration is your personal sock graveyard that could actually be the foundation for your next great, dumbest success?
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope Ben's tactical journey gives you the courage to take that leap.